All right, Dustin, welcome. This is your 2024 AlphaGo S6 unit. I'm going to do a run through it so you know everything that you have to do when you get the trailer to set it up. So as you can see here, we are in travel mode. We've slid out the kitchen just for convenience, but we'll start on the front of the trailer and work our way backwards. So the first thing is just some basic safety that you're going to need to know. If you come and look in the front of the trailer here, we've installed a brand new Henrik Frauhoff coupler on here with a safety breakaway chain. We then have your AlphaGo jockey wheel when we've upgraded that to 3 wheels, so it's easier to use with your trailer movers. You've got your 7-pin plug, which is going to operate your lights on your trailer when you're driving. Your handbrake, which will always be forward when you're in travel mode when you're driving, and you pull it backwards when you're parked. So always remember to make sure your handbrake is not engaged when you drive off. And then lastly, you've got your Brad Harrison connector here. This is going to feed power from your vehicle's alternator to the battery, so that while you're driving, the Victron DC to DC charger will charge up your battery, because your fridge will probably be on and using power. Please note that you will need to have a opposite Brad Harrison installed on your vehicle. If you do not have one, any safari or outdoor place will do it for about 3,000 Rand. So that is the front of your trailer here. Moving this side, you have your stone guard, which is going to protect this side of the trailer from stones deflecting off your vehicle. You have a 220-volt inlet plug here, a licensed disc holder. You have a 20-liter jerry can holder, 2 5 kg gas bottle holders, and on this side you have your full 5 kg gas bottle, which is now plumbed in. And this is going to go through to the gas on your stove and into your geyser for hot water for your shower and your basin. Please also make note that once you've parked the trailer and you're ready to camp, there is 2 or 3 things that are very important to do for the gas. The first one is you're going to open up your gas line on the bottle. The second is you're going to make sure that your safety valve on your gas line is in this position here, 12 o'clock, which means the gas can flow through. And finally, you're going to open up and leave open the air vent for your geyser. This is going to allow hot air to come out and not get trapped inside. So those are all pretty important. And then finally, if you want to access anything here, there are 4 screws located at the bottom and 1 latch here where you can fold forward the stone guard. Make sure it's always nice and secure when you're driving. And then finally, you can adjust your geyser settings in the front of the trailer here. You'll see there's a little box that you can open, but we have set the geyser for you that the hot water is optimized. All right, then finally, let's walk through to this side. If you look underneath the trailer, you're going to see that on all 4 corners, there are 4 stabilizer legs. There is a spanner inside at the back of the trailer to allow these to drop down, and you will just adjust the height up and down. Also important to mention is that the stabilizer legs are not there to level the trailer. They are there to stabilize the trailer. So as they get on the floor, you can give them 1 more crank and leave them in that position. If you need to level the trailer forwards or backwards, to level it, you will use the jockey wheel. There is a spirit level on the front on the A-frame. If you need to level the trailer left or right, we recommend that you go to any outdoor warehouse and buy leveling blocks, which you will reverse onto to level the trailer. So that is how you level the trailer. These legs are how you stabilize the trailer. Staying with the bottom, you'll see that there are 3 all-terrain tires, 2 one either side, 1 full spare with alloy rims, 3 alloy rims. Then you have your titanium quattro movers. These can be engaged, again with a spanner located in the back of the trailer. They can be engaged from either side, but you don't have to engage both sides. You engage one side, both will lock against your tires. You will then use the remote control to operate them, which I'll show you as well. Starting on this side in the living space of the trailer, you're going to have your 81-liter fridge that we're going to put inside here for you on a slide-out tray. You will then also have 12-volt power here, which is for lights, USB, small things like that. And you have another 12-volt Brad Harrison here with an on and off switch. That cable will be provided for you for the fridge. Please note that this is a high voltage cable, and this is specifically for your fridge only. We will also supply you a 220-volt cable for the fridge. We do not recommend that you use this low voltage input here for the fridge, only this Brad Harrison. And then finally, you have another 12 volt inside, as well as two 220 volt inputs, should you want to connect your fridge to 220 volt power. It's also important to mention on the back of the trailer, there is another slide out behind the fridge. So you have the option of fitting 4 ammo boxes for storage, braai grids, things like that. Or alternatively, you can even mount a second fridge should you go on a longer trip and have a need for 2 fridges. All of the trailers have these lockable latches that are adjustable as well. If you feel the door's a bit loose when you clamp it, you can adjust the latches inside. Also, there are only 3 keys for the whole trailer. There is 1 key for all of your door locks, 1 key for your water tank, and 1 key for your shower box. Next, you have your tea, coffee, wine station. So we have replaced everything here. It's all brand new. You have your stemless wine glasses, 6 of those. We're going to put a bottle opener and scissors in here, 6 ceramic mugs, as well as a stainless steel kettle, all recessed in a foam insert, just in case you want to be doing some off-roading. In this cavity here, this is additional pantry packing space. So we would normally put some dry goods, chips, cans, pastas, things like that into here. And then you have another slide out drawer here, and inside here we'll have your external rechargeable air pump, which is for your awning in your bathroom, and then which is also a backup if your main pump ever fails. We will also have your spanner for your stabilizer legs and for your trailer movers, and then we'll put some 10 pegs and other items in here, repair kits, things like that. This can also be used for dry storage as well when you're camping. You have a little handle here. There will be steps inside the trailer. This is an entrance door. The roof is gas strut assisted, 1 person on each side, very easy to open. You have LED lighting on the outside, the inside, and the bathroom side of the trailer, which is all accessible from your control panel on the inside of the door, which also has USB charging, 12 volt charging, as well as a power meter and a water tank indicator. So about the water system, you have 150 liters of fresh water in a stainless steel tank underneath the trailer at the back. That is 2 75-liter tanks that have been joined up with 1 point where you fill the water. When we walk around, I'll explain that to you as well. You've got your fold-down prep table here, which latches with the U-bolt. You've got 12 volt as well as 220 volt charging on this side. And then finally, you've got your kitchen unit over here. So you will have LED lighting, you will have a slide out drawer with brand new cutlery inside. Over here you have your basin with hot and cold water. This will fold over to become a drying rack for your dishes. This is also then your 4-burner stove with 2 wind protectors. You'll notice it's an electric ignition stove. You'll notice there are no covers on here. That's because they can shake and fall when you're driving. So we safely secure everything always inside here for you. That is your stove unit. And then finally, you have an additional pull-out prep space over here. So that can go inside. And then 2 more things just underneath here. You're going to have a hose pipe for drainage. So there will be a 10-liter plastic bag that we give you that this goes into, and then you can empty your gray water. And then there is also a drop-down stabilizer leg, and that stabilizer leg you'll see is just located on a bracket just underneath this table. So moving to the back of the trailer, you have LED lighting, you have a full-size spare, and then you will also have additional protection underneath the trailer. And then finally, I'm just going to show you a few more things here. So we spoke about storage. So this is enough space on a slide-out tray for 4 ammo boxes. You can fit braai grids, all those bits and pieces in there. And you can also have an additional slide-out here. And we use these for fold-up camping chairs and blankets and things like that. And then this whole room you'll see will close off into your shower room. So this is a convenient drawer system that we've put in. So what's nice about this is it's great for packing clothing, shoes, things like that, towels. This is also accessible from inside the trailer and outside the trailer. What we will normally do is have our clothing in ammo boxes inside here. When the tent is inflated, we'll move that into the bathroom with a fold-up cupboard. You have your bathroom door, you have your shower box. So this has our new shower system on it, you'll see the shower will be inside. You will just click it into the hose and it will go into here, and you have a really nice high proper home living shower. This is another little fold down table for your toiletries. You can also put a basin in here if you want water to brush your teeth, things like that. This is your water inlet for your water tanks. Very important to mention that the pipe goes a little bit up and then drops down to the tanks. So what you need to do is feed a hose about 30 centimeters into here to get the water down and through. If you're off-grid camping and you need to refill the water, there is a funnel we provide you, and we suggest with an extra piece of hose, and then we suggest that you fill from the top in order to allow the water to circulate down. So the last thing I'll show you on top here is you'll see your roof rack system. So this is really useful for strapping down ammo boxes, camping tables, wood, all of those things. And you'll notice that there are 8 latches, 4 on each side, which lock your roof into place. These are also adjustable in height. And we are going to now shift to the second video, which is going to be explaining your power system. One last thing just about your water system. So please note, and also your geyser, your stove. So it is quite a long way from the gas bottle to the stove. So when you first use the stove and you arrive at a campsite, please allow 30 to 40 seconds of clicking on your igniter for the gas lines to follow through. After that, the gas will be in the lines and your stove will come on very quickly. Then also, if you ever do not have hot water coming into your shower or your basin, please check that your pipe, there's no kinks in the pipes under the trailer in the front. And then finally, if you ever have water not coming out and you know there's water in the tanks, then there's an air block. All you need to do is open up this here, open your tap for about 20 seconds in your shower, and that'll force any excess air out. If you also look lastly just underneath here, you'll see that each tank has its own drainage point for water. So you can also drain your tanks afterwards with these. And that's basically it. So let's move on to the power system. All right, so the second video, I'm going to explain the power system to you, which is very simple. It's a very high quality Victron and Deltec based power system. Those are the only 2 brands we use. Everything links to Bluetooth on your phone. So there's 2 apps you're going to need, Victron Connect and the Bluetooth Lee app, which I will send you the link for both. The Victron Connect will allow you to connect to all of the 4 Victron components, and the Bluetooth Lee will allow you to connect to your battery to see the battery percentage and whether the status is charging or discharging. You'll also notice another Brad Harrison on this side here. This is going to plug into your solar panels that you're receiving and feed solar power from the panels through your MPT controller onto the battery. So just to give you a quick breakdown on the power system, you'll see there's another battery voltage indicator. There's a 12-volt charger here where you can plug your air pump into recharge if you need to, a fire extinguisher, and here you have our biggest upgrade battery that we do, which is a 200 amp hour Deltec Bluetooth lithium LiFePO 4 battery. So this battery is going to give you about 3 days completely off grid, and it is rechargeable in 3 ways. It is rechargeable through your DC to DC charger, which runs off your vehicle in the front that we showed you. You can charge it through solar, which runs into here, into your panels. And finally, you can charge it through this at the back. We give you a 20-meter plug to plug into shore power, and that is your Victron IP22 charger. Then the last thing we have in here is our Victron 1200 Phoenix inverter at the back here. This inverter will allow you, if you're off-grid, to run all of your 220-volt plugs from the 12-volt battery as it converts 12 to 220-volt power. However, we highly recommend that you only use it sparingly because it depletes the battery very quickly. So if you want to make some ice 5 or 10 minutes, or make a coffee with your coffee machine, you can switch on the inverter. There's a button on the side. And then very important to mention is if you swing around this side, you'll see our DV board here. So right now, I've switched everything off on our DV board. The only important thing to remember is that you can always leave basically everything up on the trailer except the second switch, which is your inverter, because you will only ever run off 2 power sources. You will run either off mains power, which is your first switch, or you will run off your inverter, which is here. It's very important to note that if you ever are going to use your inverter, the process is you will switch off your mains power, you will switch on your inverter, and you will switch on your inverter on the inverter itself. You'll see the little button. You will then have access to power. When you, and then finally, you will switch off your battery charger, which is over here. So it's important to always switch off the breaker that says battery charger if you're using the inverter, or else it will use the battery to power the battery charger and you'll have a loop and that can damage the battery. So the golden rule is you can always have everything up except inverter. And if you're going to use the inverter, you switch off mains power, you switch off your battery charger, and you switch on the inverter and switch it on here. And when you're done using it, you can switch your inverter off, turn down the inverter breaker, mains back on, battery charger back on. I'll run through the breakers here. So you've got your AC 220 volt input, which is your input into the back of the trailer for shore power, which charges through here to the battery. Then you have your inverter switch. And then again, golden rule, if your input is up and your battery charge is up, your inverter must be down, and vice versa. Next, you have your AC 220 plugs. So that is your plugs on the inside and outside trailer. That switches them on and off. You can leave that always on. Next, you have your DC to DC connection. So that can always stay on. That just activates your DC charger. Next, you have your MPT controller, which is your solar controller. That can always stay on. And then finally, you have your battery charger. That can always stay on unless you're using your inverter. And your last two is your water pump and your control panel. The water pump, what we would recommend is when you are leaving for a trip to switch the water pump off, because if your water pump is on and you hit a bump and you accidentally, a basin faucet opens up, it will drain water out because the pump is on. What we normally do is when we get to our campsite, we will switch our water pump on, and when we leave our campsite, we will switch our water pump off. And it really is that simple. When you switch it on, you will hear the pump priming. Once you have started using the basin, that little buzzing sound will go away. And then basically that is your complete power system here. So if you have any other questions, you can let me know, but it's a very straightforward power system. You'll see one more switch on this side here. That switch, when you turn it on, is going to activate your titanium quattro movers. So again, that switch you can also put off as well. And we do have a remote control for the movers, which I'll show you how that operates. And that is basically your power system video. We're now going to go to the last video, which is going to be opening the trailer and inflating the tent system. Up the trailer now and do the inflation. Your awning in your bathroom is connected. Then a couple of important things is make sure that your tire is down at the back. Make sure that you have picked out two dead bolts. Just do that one, please, Z. So what this will allow is for your, click it out there. This will allow for your roof rack to lift up, and you're going to undo all of your latches. And if this is a little bit sticky, as you lift up, you can just push this one down just to release the seal, because we have to have a very tight seal to waterproof the trailer from above. One person each side, you just lift up, and then all you need to do is bring it down. It's not heavy at all. And then there are two latches, one on each side, where you can latch the trailer down. And then you're just going to take your corner pieces, give the tent a few gentle tugs, and tuck that around the edge. Now what we want to do is walk this side and open the back of the trailer. So once again, there is a handle here, two people, you're going to lift, and you'll notice as you get to 90 degrees, you can then grab onto the roof rack and pull it down. In order to get this straight, because you could be on uneven ground, you can adjust the legs over there. This is also useful as a towel rack if you want to dry your towels or clothing, things like that. And then finally, you're just going to pull this over again. And then you can readjust the tent once everything is out. So he's going to grab our air pump. And what we are going to do is we're going to roll out the awning. So we're going to start pulling it out this side. Another thing that we recommend is that you always remove the sides and fronts of the awning when you pack it away. It just makes it a little bit easier to pack. And what you can then do is roll this out. Alright, and this is your air awning which you're going to inflate first. Another few important tips to give you is you will notice that there are 3 copper O-rings. If you ever have an issue where you have a leak on your awning or it deflates and you're camping in the middle of nowhere, there are 3 poles we supply you that will hold the awning up until you get back, and we can replace it for you. The main tent itself and the bathroom has isolation beams on it, so even if a beam gets punctured or a leak, the whole tent will stay up if you isolate the beam. And then you'll see there's a zip on the front and a zip on the inside. The zip on the inside is for your front part of your awning room. That's going to zip on. It's one piece. And again, it's very important to mention, to get it nice and taut, you do need to deflate the awning about 20-30% before you zip on that front, or else it will be very difficult to zip it on. And then you reinflate it back to 5 psi. Your front zip over here is for your extended awning. So that extended awning will zip on, the 3 poles will go in the front, and you'll use your guy ropes, and that'll be a nice extended canopy that comes out 2.5 meters. So another thing to mention is the PSI for the tents. So you can set each of the 3 tents at 5 PSI, which is a good pressure. The pump inside is set to 5 PSI for the main tent, so it will cut off by itself. The portable pump you can set yourself. We will set it to 5 PSI for you. And then the process is you will inflate your awning first, like you'll see now. Once that's done, you can go inflate your bathroom. So this is about 4 to 5 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes. Once that's done, you can go, your awning will stand up, you can go underneath, you can switch on your main air pump. So one last very important thing to mention is ensure all your connections on your pump are tight, because if anything is loose, air can come out. So especially your nozzles on the front, your hoses. And then you'll notice that there are red valves on the tent. Those are overinflation valves. So if it gets very hot and the beams expand, that will blow excess air out. And 2 more very important things. On the back there's 1 inflation point on your awning. There's 3 inflation points on the air bathroom. And there is 3 inflation and deflation points on the main tent. So you'll see there's 1 by the front door, which we'll show you, and very important because a lot of people always forget it, is on the back of the main tent. You come this side, we'll show you. There is a inflation and release valve over here, 1 on this side, 1 on that bedroom. And this is to ensure that when you're folding down the trailer, any air that might be trapped in the bedroom, you're going to open these up to let that air out. So what we'll do now is we will just close these and close this one this side. And just when you're deflating, do the opposite, and this will take the air out of these bedrooms. And while we're at it, we will just roll out our air bathroom. And you'll see on your air bathroom, there is 3 main beams that go up, and there's a overinflation. There's an inlet valve here which you can use to inflate from. We'll just close that up now quickly. And finally, on the right-hand side, there's another overinflation valve, which will always be closed. Now, just before we start inflating, something very important to mention is the failure rate of the tents is 0.001%. If ever you feel the beams start getting soft, or you think that there's a leak or air's coming out, 99.9% of the time, it's because one of your valves is not sealed properly. So what we always recommend is, once you're done inflating, just put your ear to the valve and make sure that you don't hear any air coming out, because over time the valves can get a bit of sand in them, a bit of dust, and if it's not completely sealed or it has a light crack in it, it will let air through. So always check your valves when you're inflating and you pull the pump out for no noise or leakages. And we do give you a bag with replacement valves if you need them. And then also just to mention with your main tent in your bathroom, if you ever at a point where you inflating and a section of the tent won't inflate, go inside, make sure that your isolation valves are open. We'll show you that as well. And the reverse is true as well. If you deflate and there's still an air beam that's inflated, it means that air cannot get out the beam and someone has closed one of the valves inside. So we'll run through that once we've inflated it. So let's go this side. We're going to switch on our pump. You're just going to switch the power button. Okay. And now what you're going to notice, if you stand and look at the display, two things are going to happen. It's going to use a high pressure pump up until about 1.2 psi, and then a secondary pump is going to kick in, which is a low pressure pump, which will ensure that the tent is inflating at its optimal speed. So we'll just wait for that to kick in. So you can notice the beam starting to move. It also helps to circulate the air if you walk around. Just pluck the beam levers. And then as it starts filling with air, you can also get to a point where you can help it and it will stand up by itself. So let's just wait for the second pump to kick in. So you can see there's one main beam in the front. There's your guy line support clips. And then as this has enough back pressure, just over 1 psi, then our second pump will kick in. So while this is inflating, you actually can go and unpack your car, light a fire, get set up at camp. You don't need to stand around here for this. And this is one of the great things about the product is it's going to save you a lot of time of setup, because now you would have been sitting with poles for the next hour, whereas you can just switch on your air pump, leave it to fill up and come back in 5 minutes. So let's do that. We're going to switch the camera off, wait a few minutes, and when it's almost done inflating, we'll put the camera back on. Cool, Dustin. So you can see the awning went up in about 4 to 5 minutes. The air bathroom was about 3 minutes, and what we're going to do now is inflate the main tent. So you'll have your steps for either side. You can also, once this is done, put your draft skirts on. This is all magnetic. The longer draft skirt is for the front, the shorter one for the back. That will seal off everything for the tent. And then if you come into here, all you need to do this side is plug in your air pump.
I can just take okay.
And you are just going to switch on the button here. Alright, so that's going to activate the main tent. This is going to take another 3 to 4 minutes to inflate. Again, you can leave the secure thing, make sure that you don't hear the hose pop out. It shouldn't if you push it in nice and tight. And again, you can now start unpacking the car, make a fire. You don't have to stand around here and play with poles. So once it hits a certain pressure, the pump will switch off by itself. You can then go in and give it a couple of pushes. The tent can also pop up by itself, but if you're in a hurry, you go inside and give it a few pushes. So we'll do a little time lapse of this now popping up here. So all three tents are up. What you'll see is, what you didn't see was, when it got to a certain point, the awning in the bathroom is quite heavy. So sometimes the tent will pop up by itself. But what we always do is when there's a little bit of pressure on the beams, we will just go inside and give the top a little push, a little bit of support, just to help it pop up. Once it's done that and it's inflated, the pump will switch off. You can take it out, just close back off your air pipe inlet. And then what you can do is you can just walk inside the trailer and you can just correct the beams. You'll see they might have 1 or 2 kinks that you just shake. The beams will be straight. And then importantly as well, if I show you here, So this whole panel will also zip up. There's a zip here and a zip here, and 2 straps this side. So it's really nice to roll this up. You can see there's 2 clips at the top. So this whole panel will roll up and you have a nice panoramic lounge area. And then also, if you just look inside here, it's important as well for the shape of the tent. Your bedroom beam, you will just make sure that this is pushed tightly against the vertical beam here. So in each of the 4 corners, you can go inside and just make sure that your 45-degree bedroom beam is pushing into this beam here, and that'll give you solid, nice support there. And then you can also close that back up. Over here, you've got your Velcro where your drive skirt is going to connect to. That will run the whole way over. There is another Velcro piece here. You can ignore this. When we get in the drive skirts from overseas, this whole area is a piece of fabric that we take off and then we cut out to go over the bottom. So this was just a different design option that we don't use anymore. So you have your windows inside, you've got your door this side, your door inserts. We're going to put some plates and bowls in here for you, and then you can also close up with your windows and close up in the front. As I mentioned, if you are going to close the front of the awning / annex, you do need to deflate the awning about 20-30% to allow the zip to go on easy. And then the same thing, you can deflate a little bit and you can zip on your extended awning. So that is basically your setup. Always make sure that your battery is charging if you have electricity at the campsite. Make sure that your fridge is always on, that your food hasn't gone off if your power's out. And then your set down is going to be the exact opposite. You're going to start by deflating your main tent, taking out the valves on the outside bedrooms, deflate the awning, deflate the bathroom, roll everything up, tuck it in nicely, close up the trailer. Another thing to mention is in order to keep the awning and the bathroom connected, you need to put the backrests. There's 4 cushions that are the backrests on the floor in the middle, and that will allow you that you don't have to give you enough space to store the awning in the bathroom without zipping it on and off. So when you open up the trailer, you will see the layout that the cushions are done, and then also the white parts of the backrest must be at the bottom, not at the top. We'll take some photos of that and send it through to you. Anything else you need, feel free to reach out to me and Ziad. We'll be more than happy to help. Cheers.